And check in with Emily Jones.
Well, Buzz, the Rangers in search of their first set of back-to-back wins of the season. They'll get that if they can get the win here tonight in the opener against the Mariners. And Jeff Bannister acknowledges that while you can't win a championship in April, you can definitely dig yourself a pretty sizable hole, and that's what his team is trying to avoid.
We have put ourselves in position with the tying or winning run on base late, one hit away, and a few of those games where, you know, there was a catch made over the fence by Springer, there was a diving catch made by Springer, there was a snag by Freese. So, you know, I feel like that, you know, the game of baseball has a way of evening itself out along the way, that, you know, some of those are going to start moving our way.
So they've been close in those situations, and yesterday they came through on the other side, ultimately with the win. Of course, the Rangers hoping that that will be a catalyst for something here on the homestand today. We soon shall see, Buzz.
All right, and thanks. Yeah, maybe being back home will help things out, and we shall see here very shortly. Well, Tom's going to tell you now about the Amica Seattle Mariners starting lineup.
Yeah, for Seattle, different name in the leadoff spot than the Rangers saw up in Seattle. Justin Ruggiano will start in center field. Seth Smith is the DH hitting second. Robinson Cano, Nelson Cruz, and Kyle Seager form the middle of the Seattle order. Ricky Weeks gets the start in left field. He'll bat sixth. Brad Miller has been hot. He moves up to the seventh spot in the order. He'll play shortstop. Willie Bloomquist gets the start at first base, and Mike Zunino bats ninth behind the plate.
And that Mariner order is the one that Giovanni Gallardo will face for the second time in his Major League career. Still trying to make the adjustments to the American League. Giovanni, of course, pitching his first 8 years with the Milwaukee Brewers. And his last time out against Seattle 2 weeks ago, or less than 2 weeks ago, was the first time he had ever faced them. His command has been spotty at times, but he's starting to get more ground balls. And he said that's when you figure that the command is getting back to where he needs it. In Seattle, he had 17 of the 19 outs, either by a ground ball or a strikeout. Well, the first pitch, about an hour late after the rain delay, and Ruggiano takes ball one. Ruggiano, a .214 average, no home runs, and none driven in this year. Ball two is high. A revamped lineup for Lloyd McClendon a bit. Both ball clubs getting into Dallas-Fort Worth last night, or early this morning, if you will. The storms making both teams have their flights diverted. The Rangers went down to Austin and sat around for a little while, and the Mariners went down to San Antonio before they were allowed to get back in to Love Field.
What time did you finally lie down in your bed?
About 5 o'clock.
Did you?
Yeah.
6 o'clock for me.
Was it?
Yeah, I had a little breakfast first.
Ah. Yeah, I didn't. I think those potato chips on the flight carried me through. Potato chips and
we were running a little low on supplies
wow.
by the end of that flight.
We were about ready to have to send out, get some pizzas in or something. 3-2 now to Ruggiano. Yeah, it was a night that we'd rather not have gone through, but both ball clubs playing extra inning games yesterday, and the flights delayed enough to where the storms were upon the Metroplex when we were supposed to land.
Yeah, if we play with regular 3-hour ball game, I don't think we'd have had that problem.
Yep. Well, Ruggiano draws the leadoff walk. He is aboard. Seth Smith coming up. Let's take a look at the Ranger defense. It's delivered to you tonight by Fred Loya Insurance. Outfield a little bit different this evening. Carlos Peguero, the start in left. Leonis Martinez center. Shin-Soo Choo is in right. Morgan at first. Odor and Andrews man the middle. Adrian Beltre at third. Robinson Chirinos is catching for Giovanni Gallardo. Well, one on, nobody out. Seth Smith, the designated hitter, a .263 average. And then Gallardo having a little trouble here. The first two hitters of spotting that fastball in the strike zone.
Yeah, Giovanni really has had no control problems. Only 5 walks in 20 innings. Last start, we had a start on the road trip in Arizona. 5 innings, 1 walk. 1 in Seattle, 6 innings, 2 walks.
And that one inside. And now Chirinos going to go out and have a little chat with Gallardo. About time that catcher would suggest, hey, why don't we try a breaking ball? See if we can't get your release point
We've
down.
seen a lot of that in April.
Yeah.
By both teams.
Right.
A lot of times where the starter has been struggling with his fastball and then throws a breaking ball for a strike.
Yeah.
More than I remember, really. Maybe we're just zeroed in on it right now early in the season.
Yeah, it usually works, and that's, I think that's a real valid adjustment for guys early in a ball game.
What does it make you do that you haven't been doing when you're wild with your fastball?
Well, first of all, it gets you out of thinking I can't control my fastball. It gets you away from that. And secondly, when you throw a breaking ball, you tend to reach out a little bit further and delay the release point just a bit to make the ball spin that way. So it gets the release point down where it needs to be. 3 balls and no strikes. Gallardo now with 9 pitches and only 7 balls, only 2 strikes. Make that 3 strikes now out of 10.
Yeah, this is a lineup you don't want to set it up for Cano, Cruz, and Seager with a couple of walks to start the game. Ruggiano's getting the start tonight. Austin Jackson, generally the center fielder. Seth Smith has been 5 for his last 32 over 12 games.
Gallardo, the 3-1 pitch. And that is low and away, ball 4. And back-to-back walks open up the first inning. And Robinson Cano is coming up.
We have not seen anything like this from Giovanni. Throwing strikes, something you don't even concern yourself with him.
Mike Maddox, who was Giovanni's pitching coach in Milwaukee for several years, out there to reach up with that right hand and take hold of Giovanni's shoulder. Gauge the tension in him if there is any, and like I said, it steadies him out there. He doesn't have to worry about it too much. That was a quick visit, and we'll see what the upshot of it was.
In Giovanni's start against the Mariners in Seattle, 17 of his 18 outs, he pitched 6 innings with either ground balls or strikeouts. Now would be a good time to get a ground ball to one of the middle infielders after a couple of walks.
Cano had his 11-game hitting streak snapped yesterday. Took an 0 for 4. And there is a strike, knee high, outer part of the plate. Five-time Silver Slugger Award, Robinson Cano. Over that 11-game hitting streak, he was a .409 hitter. This is a man that has hit over 300 for 6 consecutive seasons. Good pitch in on him. And Gallardo now with the advantage in the count at 0-2. The one thing you know about Giovanni Gallardo is that a little streak of lack of command is not going to make him run up the white flag on the pole. He's been through that before. He knows how to handle situations like that. That's what experience teaches you, and Giovanni certainly has a lot of experience. One ball, 2 strikes. Saw the stat. Gallardo only facing Cano 3 times. He did get a strikeout in one of those 3, and he could use a strikeout right here. Runners at first and second, nobody out in the first. Nice look from our RF camera that'll roam around the ballpark tonight. And that's a little bit low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Gallardo, 29 years old, grew up in Fort Worth, went to Trimble Tech High School. Actually had committed to go to TCU, and the Brewers made a pretty substantial offer to him, so he signed. Now he has come back with 3 straight pitches out of the strike zone to Cano, and the count is full. A 3-2 with nobody out, and you have Nelson Cruz looming in that on-deck circle. Our Fox tracker showing you a lot of pitches down. Gallardo, a check of the runners, the payoff pitch. Could be 2. Odor has trouble getting it out of his glove, and therefore they only get the force at second. That's too bad. That could have been a double play, and Rugnet had trouble getting it out of the webbing. It looked like he got stuck in. So Cano is aboard. Runners at the corners and one out for Nelson Cruz.
Yeah, that's one that I know Ruki would say that's a routine double play. You got to turn 2 on that ball. That's the way you get a pitcher out of a jam. It looked like he might have been on the verge of walking 3 straight batters. Could have ended up with a man on third and 2 outs. Now there's first and third and 1 out, and you have to face Nelly Cruz. That was one where I think Rugi would say he needs to turn that one.
Yeah, now Gallardo will see if he can induce another ground ball. This one from Cruz.
That's when you don't get an error on, but that's close to being an error on a routine play. You can't assume a double play, so you don't get an error on that. But right now, I think if Rugi is daydreaming about that play, he's almost feeling like it was.
What do they say? It's not an error of commission. That's an error of omission, where you omitted the ability to get two outs.
Yeah.
Nelly Cruz trying to go up the ladder and didn't have the extra rung. Gallardo gets the swinging strike. And very quickly, it's 0-2.
Here's where you'd love to get a strikeout right here. Good movement on that fastball up and in.
Well, Cruz, the major league leader with 9 home runs, 20 RBI. He is having quite a month of April. Cano draws a throw at first base. Cruz also with that 310 mark. The American League ranks for Nelly first in home runs, RBI, slugging percentage, tied for first with total bases at 51. Second, 11 extra base hits. Now the 0-2. Couldn't get him to chase. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Already Giovanni having to go to 20 pitches in this inning. Still just 1 out. He has Ruggiano at third and Robinson Cano at first. Tried to go up again and couldn't entice Cruz to go after that one. 2-2. Our 4 leaderboard. Most home runs in the major leagues this year. Nelly Cruz, Hanley Ramirez of the Red Sox with 8, as Mark Teixeira has with the Yankees. National League, Adrian Gonzalez leads with 7 for the Dodgers. Minnesota and Milwaukee each have a total of 9 home runs per team. There's a base hit to right field. Cruz drives in his 21st as Ruggiano scores. Stopping at second is Cano, and the Mariners have an early 1-0 lead.
Well, they got a pitch away, and he drove it away. Giovanni got the ground ball he was looking for. Unfortunately, it was not right at anybody. Pitch looked like it's on the outside part of the plate. Yeah, nice job by Nelly. It was down and away. Going the other way. Hit that ball hard, too.
Yep.
Rookie didn't have time to show any range on that ball. It was by him before he knew it.
Well, Nelson Cruz now 6 for 6 in his career against Giovanni Gallardo. Well, first and second, a run across. Here's Kyle Seager. Seager with a 284 average as Gallardo gets the inside corner. 2 home runs, 10 driven in. And of course, in this ballpark, Kyle Seager thinks this is home for him. The way he's hit against the Rangers over the years. Down to the count here, 0-2. The .353 hitter in 34 ball games in this ballpark. Look at that, 7 home runs, 22 RBI. That's in 34 games. A lot of guys would like to have those numbers for a career. Seager's just getting started. 0-2 from Gallardo. Moreland cuts it off. The second they get one, the return to Gallardo is wide. Coming down the line from third is Cano. He will score, and the Mariners lead 2-0 as Elvis Andrus tried to hit the pitcher Gallardo covering first and threw it behind him. Gallardo had no chance to stop and reverse his field. The Mariners get a gift.
Well, the Rangers have not played the kind of defense that Jeff Bannister expects them to play and that they expect to play themselves. And first inning is a great example of it. A ball that has to be a double play is not turned. Not sure if they could have gotten a double play on that ball, but an accurate throw at least makes it first and third with 2 outs, and you have a chance to get out of the inning with only 1 run. The wide throw allows a run to score. So last time Giovanni pitched in Arizona, the defense was not stellar behind him as well. Today in the first inning, it's shown pretty dramatically.
Yeah, what were the 3 errors the last time he pitched in Arizona?
Something like that.
So 2-0, and that last play for Seager goes down as a fielder's choice. No RBI. The error charged to Elvis Andrus on the throw that allowed Cano to score. Here's Ricky Weeks, the number 6 hitter for the Mariners tonight. Weeks, a 156 average. Look at Elvis out there, a little disgusted with himself right about now. Weeks and Gallardo, of course, teammates in Milwaukee. And this is the first matchup that they've had in the regular season. Last 5 ball games, Weeks in limited at bats, just 1 for 13. Seager at first with 2 outs, 2 runs across in the Mariner first. Now 3 balls and a strike.
This is going to be pitch number 30 for Giovanni. A lot of it is his doing, the 2 walks to start the game. Some of it is the undoing of the defense.
Gallardo sets a check of Seager. Little looper out of the right field. Long run in for Chu. He's going to stop and play it on a hop. Throw comes in. On to third base goes Seager. And a looping single off the bat of Ricky Weeks. The runners at the corners, and still 2 outs.
Weeks got jammed on that ball, but he hit it a little farther than a Texas leaguer. Far enough to where off the bat you think, well, maybe the right fielder has a chance. Shin-Soo wasn't able to get to it, and it falls in front of him. Ball jammed him. He fights it off.
Well, if you're Giovanni Gallardo, you need a play behind you from somebody.
Yep.
And, anybody.
Did not get
right
a
about
play.
now.
Not getting a play so far in the game.
Now here's Brad Miller, the shortstop. He takes a big curve for strike 1. Miller at 291. Giovanni Gallardo with the pitch count already up to 31. Fewer strikes than balls, which really is unusual for Gallardo. 1 ball and 1 strike. I'm not going to say this has never happened to Gallardo, but I would venture to say the times that he's had an inning where he just has no command of the fastball, probably few and far between.
Yeah, I would be right along with you on that one.
Good breaking ball to Miller, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, Miller's been hot. He went through an 0 for 14 streak, but now he's 10 for his last 21. Swinging a pretty good bat. Not batting ninth anymore. At least not tonight.
Runners at the corners as Gallardo sets.
Miller, one of those rare guys that doesn't wear batting gloves. They stand out.
Last 9 ball games, as Tom told you, Brad Miller's gotten hot. How about a 476 average? The guy who was slated to be the backup at shortstop, Chris Taylor, was going to be the number 1 shortstop. He got hurt. Miller took over, and Taylor can't get back in the lineup. And down on strikes, a high fastball, and Gallardo gets out of the first, but the Mariners scored 2 times on 2 hits and scratches. After a half inning, Mariners 2, Rangers coming up.
down 2, and they're going to start with Leonis Martin in center field. He's playing some great baseball out of the leadoff spot right now. Carlos Peguero gets the start in left field, followed by Prince Fielder and Adrian Beltre, third and fourth. Prince DHing tonight. Mitch Moreland will play first base. Elvis again bats 6th at shortstop. Shin Soo Choo in right field bats 7th. Rugned plays second base. He'll bat 8th. And catching and batting 9th is Robinson Chirinos.
And they will have their hands full tonight with the top pitching prospect in the Seattle Mariners organization. That is 22-year-old right-hander Taijuan Walker. Walker, a big guy at 6'4", and he pours in a fastball right at the knees. Throws in the mid to upper 90s. Still trying to conquer his control problems, although last time out, apparently, from all reports from the Mariners, he was much, much better. They said he's much more aggressive in the strike zone and something that he could build on. 0-2 pitch, chopped to third. Seager with a long throw, and Leonis Martin is out, one away. You saw Kyle Seager take that play at third. Here's the rest of the Mariners defense tonight for you. Outfield has Weeks, Ruggiano, and Cruz left, center, and right. Bloomquist at first. Cano and Miller up the middle. You saw Seager at third. Mike Zunino is catching for Taijuan Walker. Here's Carlos Peguero. 0-1. Peguero pinch hit in yesterday's game. Takes that big breaking ball from Walker that's in and over. 0-2. Carlos has really fallen on hard times offensively, and Jeff Bannister trying to move him up into the order where he might get a few more fastballs to work with. He got one there, but he couldn't reach it.
Walker in spring training had 7 appearances, 7 starts, as a matter of fact. Pitched 27 innings in A games in spring training. In today's game, that's a lot of innings in spring training, and he was spectacular. He only gave up 2 earned runs in spring training. His ERA was 0.67, but then he got off to a horrendous start. His first start at Oakland, he gave up 2 walks and 9 hits and 9 runs in 3 1/3. But as you mentioned, Buzz, his third start was much better. I think the way he pitched in spring training seemed to indicate he would get off to a very fast start. If you can put up those numbers in Arizona, I think the thinking would be that you can kind of pitch anywhere.
Sure.
Generally, you say spring training doesn't matter. And usually for a pitcher, you're saying because your ERA is 7.5, spring training doesn't matter because it's hard to pitch in Arizona. With him, he gave up 2 earned runs in 27 innings in Arizona, which is pretty spectacular, but hasn't yet translated. He's walked 10 in 12 2/3 coming into this game.
Fastball comes back to the inside corner. And Prince Fielder jawing a little bit with home plate umpire Alan Porter. Prince in his last 17 ball games, .382 average. Two balls, 2 strikes. Walker back to the plate. Ball hit well to left field. Weeks going back in the corner. At the track, it's off the wall. And Fielder, a 345-foot double right down the opposite line. He is at second.
Yeah, for a minute, it looked like that ball might sneak right out of the ballpark right near the foul pole. Came down and hit the wall. Weeks has spent most of his career as a second baseman, not as an outfielder. Now, at this stage of his career, I guess he's more of a utility guy trying to play all over the field, which doesn't mean he should have caught the ball. He gets to the corner, and, maybe a guy that's experienced in left field takes one more step, jumps up against the wall, and has a shot at that ball. Definitely not a simple play, even for a guy who's played left field all his career. But a very difficult play for a guy who hasn't played a whole lot in the outfield. Tough play for anybody.
Well, the first hit of the game for the Rangers. It comes off the bat of Prince Fielder. Here's Adrian Beltre, the cleanup hitter. Beltre, 194. He has been hitting the ball with much more authority than 194 would tell you. Hasn't had the success yet as far as statistical success. But it's not far off when he starts swinging the bat like he is. That's from the owner's box down there. RF camera, or at least very close to it. Beltre pops it foul. Two balls and 2 strikes. 1 on, 2 out. Bottom of the first inning. Rangers trying to claw back after giving up a 2 spot in the top of the first. Little looper out in a shallow left. Miller, the shortstop, going out, makes the catch over his shoulder, and that will do it. Rangers get a 2-out double, but Strand Fielder. On to the second we go. It's the Mariners 2, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. The Mariners 2-0 over the Rangers. As we go to the top of the second inning, it'll be Willie Bloomquist, the number 8 man in the order, to start things off, followed by Mike Zunino, and then back to the top of the order for Justin Ruggiano. Bloomquist, the veteran utility man, a .308 hitter this year, 0 for 7 in his matchups against Gallardo. Giovanni, after 35 pitches in the first inning, and only 17 strikes, throws strike 1 here in the second. Adjustments, no doubt, made on the bench. See if he can take him out there and put him into practice. Bloomquist, no home runs this year. 1 RBI. Last 5 ball games. Been swinging pretty good bat, 4 for 10. To right field, slicing Chu over to take a look, but that is back into the seats. Kind of pawing around the mound out there. A little groundskeeping work. He's ready to go. Call strike 3. Well, we have Bloomquist just tied up Like a hostage on that. Did not pull the trigger. Now, one away, Zunino coming up. Let's welcome in Jim Knox. Jim.
I appreciate it, Buzz. You know, College Days back at the ballpark this year, and why not SMU night here at Globe Life Park? And how about the new head football coach, Chad Morris, here this evening? You got to throw out the first pitch. What was that like?
That was incredible. I was a little nervous on that, but it was good. It was a lot of fun.
Now, you grew up here, Coach. You grew up in the Plano area, and you were talking about you used to come to the old stadium and just get in with your buddies. And who are some of the players you remember?
Well, obviously Steve Buechele, and got a chance to talk to him tonight, and Buddy Bell, and a bunch of those guys. I just remember coming out here as a kid and just having fun, enjoying it, sitting out in the outfield, and I've always been a Ranger fan.
All right, 16 years you coached high school football in the state of Texas as a head coach, 18 years all in all. You come over from Clemson. What can folks expect here at SMU?
Well, it's going to be an exciting brand of football. You know, we're going to recruit the state of Texas. It's going to be our footprint. The Dallas-Fort Worth area, East Texas area is going to be the main staple of our recruiting. Get into the Houston area, but you know, we're going to play fast-paced, hurry up, no huddle, and just put people in there, put people standing on their seats.
I tell you what, I was just talking to Coach Buzz and Tom, and one fired-up coach right here. If I was a high school player right now, I think I would commit to this guy. Definitely. All right, SMU new head football coach Chad Morris. Great seeing you. Appreciate it. Best of luck. Buzz?
Thanks, Noxie.
I think Coach has got Noxie on retainer.
He does. He does.
You can't get a better commercial than that.
Put him on the recruiting trail. Meanwhile, Giovanni Gallardo has back-to-back strikeouts in this inning. He's now struck out 3.
You know what's funny about that interview? The coach says, I came out and watched Steve Buechele when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that long ago that I remember Boo signing as a kid from Stanford.
Right.
And now we're talking to college football coaches who came out and watched Boo when they were a kid.
Ruggiano to center field, and Giovanni Gallardo with 2 strikeouts. Lazy fly ball to center has a 1-2-3. 1.5 in the books, 2-0 Seattle. Baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. The EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. Well, the Rangers come to bat here on SMU night out here at Globe Life Park. And we see all the Pony fans out here. Mitch Moreland starting off the second inning. And 1 pitch and a 2-hopper to first. Boomquist to Walker, 1 gone. Moreland taps out. And Elvis Andrews will be next. Taiwan Walker He's a big kid. Matter of fact, he's listed as 6'4", but he might be a little bit bigger than that. He's, I think he's still growing. Southern California native. He has a live arm. Elvis takes strike one. Andrus at 211, just got up over the 200 mark the last couple of games. Had a pretty good trip through Anaheim right at the end of the Rangers road trip. How about our Lowe's Never Stop Improving feature for you? Last 6 ball games, Elvis a 296 average with 3 walks. The previous 12 games, a 163 average. I would say that qualifies as Never Stop Improving. Flies out here for out number 2. And we'll bring up Shin-Soo Choo. Walker has gotten 5 of the 6 Rangers he has faced.
Walker probably has as little movement throwing the ball to the hitter with nobody on base as anybody will ever see, doesn't he? I don't think I've ever seen anyone that moves less of his body to throw a pitch than he does.
No, we talked, about the idea of everybody or a lot of guys going just to the stretch all the time, starters included. More and more starters are working that way, and Walker takes it to that extreme in that he really cuts down any excess movement in his delivery.
Now, some people will say, and where do you stand, Buzz, that you can't get as much power that way as you can from a windup. Is that true?
No, I think you can throw as hard from the stretch as you can from the windup.
So when you hear people say they don't like pitching from the stretch because they can't get as much behind the ball, that's you wouldn't buy that?
I don't like throwing from the stretch because I had people on base.
People on base.
Yes, that was never a good sign. No, you start to feel that way. I think you develop timing from a windup from the time you're real little.
Yeah.
And it feels more comfortable. It feels like it's a stronger movement to throw the ball.
Right.
And it just doesn't. It doesn't bear itself out.
But mechanically, there's no reason that should be the case.
No. Because when you think about it, the windup, until you take the ball out of your glove and get it back in a throwing motion so you can make it go forward, everything that happens before that doesn't make any difference.
Right.
As far as velocity is concerned. What we're talking about here is very little wasted motion so that you can repeat that delivery, because until you get into the balance point where the ball comes out of the glove and it's extended behind Taijuan Walker or anybody, and then he gets Choo. We'll discuss this as the game goes on. He's an interesting guy to watch because of his youth and what he's able to do with it. 3 up, 3 down for the Rangers after 2-0 Seattle. First 15,000 fans that come out to Globe Life Park tomorrow night will get a Derek Holland Garden Gnome, sponsored by Reliant. And this gnome, you know, is going to go fast. So get your tickets at TexasRangers.com and get out to Globe Life Park early tomorrow. Seth Smith, the designated hitter, leading off the third inning with Seattle leading the Rangers 2-0. Smith walked in the first inning. It was the second of the back-to-back walks issued by Gallardo. Got himself in trouble right from the get-go and didn't get a whole lot of help from there on to the defense. Gave up a couple of runs.
But whatever was plaguing him at the beginning, the last four hitters, it doesn't seem to be a problem.
Yeah. And most of the time for a guy like Yovani Gallardo, it's a matter of getting your body and your arm in sync. It looked like early in the first inning that Yovani just had his body out in front, what guys call rushing a little bit. And, you know, the arm and hand with the ball in it just couldn't catch up to it. So a lot of pitches high and like that one. And you make some adjustments. You kind of slow things down just a little bit in your mind, especially. But you make the mechanical adjustments that over the years have proven to correct that for you. Hit pretty well to center, but Leonis Martin will be able to get there and camp out underneath it. One gone. And before Robinson Cano comes up, let's send it over to Dana Larson with a Mazda game break. Dana?
Second baseman Robinson Cano.
All right, Dana, thank you. Here's Robinson Cano, who grounded into a fielder's choice and eventually came around to score in that first inning. He scored on a throwing error by Elvis Andrus. So Cano, a 284 average now after the 0 for 1. Mariners had 2 runs and 2 hits along with 2 walks in that first inning. You throw in 1 error and it added up to 2 Seattle runs. Oh, he got jammed on that fastball. Gallardo coming up and in. And Cano tried to keep it off his chest. See the spin on that ball. That's the cut fastball or slider that Yovani will throw. Cano, a drive to right field. Chu headed toward the corner. The ball dies in the heavy air, and Chu able to run it down for out number 2. Cano may not have hit that really on the sweet spot, but you get warmer temperatures in about a month here, and that ball's going to be trouble in that triangle area down there in right field.
It looked like he hit it pretty good. Curveball down and in. What it looks like to Shin-Soo getting near the wall out there.
No, 2 outs, and here's Nelly Cruz. Cruz had the RBI base hit in the first inning. Curveball hangs inside to him. 1 ball, no strikes. Well, Cruz now a .319 average, 21 RBI, along with the 9 home runs. Ground ball up the middle. Gallardo is going to have another 1-2-3 inning. Cruz tagged by Moreland going by. And Nelly Cruz for the first time was retired by Yovani Gallardo in 6 tries. The umpire talking to Gallardo. He may have. No, we're not. No challenge. 2-0. First of a 3-game set, and fans will be treated to a post-game fireworks show set to the music from Back to the Future movies, presented by Big Green Egg. And join us as we celebrate the 30th anniversary of Back to the Future. Get $14 upper reserve tickets using the online coupon code FIREWORKS at TexasRangers.com/specials. Rougned Odor starting off the Ranger third inning. The Odor, Chirinos, and Martin to face Taijuan Walker. Rougned, a 140 average, 1 home run, but he has 8 runs driven in, and he's been getting on base despite the rather low average.
An RBI. He got an RBI the other day. Got hit by a pitch. Got hit by a pitch for an RBI.
Yeah. Last road trip, one that Rougned would just soon forget. 2 for 25, but he had 4 RBI.
Oh, watch out. Oh, boy. Everybody's okay.
Gotta heed Tom Green when you come out here and you're sitting over there. Make sure you have your glove with you.
You know, you wonder what the players think. You think, well, they're in the middle of the game. They don't even notice balls going into the stands. When you hit a ball like that into the stands, you cringe just like we do watching it from up here. You follow the flight of the ball, and you're just thinking, no, please don't hit anybody.
Another 1-2 pitch. Couple of young future stars facing each other right here. Taijuan Walker, Rougned Odor. Over the mound, off the glove of Walker. It's going to be a base hit for Odor. Now, even if Walker doesn't chip that ball, Cano has no play on Odor. He was shading Odor toward the hole. Well, there you go, Rougned. That'll get you going. It's a base hit.
Yeah, he got it high enough. You mentioned Walker's 6'4", 6'5". He looks athletic, so he probably has some hang time when he jumps for that ball, too. Unfortunately, it was high enough, and nothing Cano can do. Rangers have the leadoff man on, trying to get those 2 runs back.
Here's Robinson Chirinos. 1 ball, no strikes. Chirinos in a bit of an offensive downturn also. Just 171 now, the average. Remember Robinson not too long ago hitting up around the 250 mark. It's got Odor at first, nobody out here in the 3rd inning. Hector Ortiz over there with Rougned Odor reading the signs from Tony Beasley across the diamond. Robinson now 1 for his last 14. Shows bunt and takes the bat back. It is a strike anyway. Three strikeouts in those 14 at bats we were just speaking of. Walker sets and misses just off the plate inside. It's 2-1. Rougned Odor at first after the infield single to start this inning. Rangers now with 2 hits, as have the Mariners. That's out of play, and the count evens.
Walker looks like he'd be a fairly tough guy, Buzz, to get a jump on him. He shortens his leg kick a little bit from the stretch, and doesn't take a whole lot of time to deliver the ball to the plate.
And you mentioned him being athletic. The couple of throws he's made at first, he's had real good, quick footwork.
Yeah.
And that for a runner is problematic. Got him swinging. Walker with a little bit of a cut fastball. He picks up his 3rd strikeout. 1 away, and Leonis Martin now will come out.
Nice pitch. Good velocity. good movement and well located to go along with it. He doesn't look early in this game like a guy who has walked 10 batters in 12 2/3 innings. Probably looks a little bit more like he did in spring training when he had an 0.60 something ERA.
Line drive to third. Seager turns it in to a double play. Well, Leonis Martin hit it hard, but Seager made the play, and Odor caught off first. No runs a hit. Nobody left after 3. 2-0 Seattle. He's having a great time.
He's having a blast.
Look at this.
He's in his own world too, boy.
What baseball game?
I wish I could figure out knew what he was thinking. Look at him. He's throwing it. He's hitting it.
Yep.
He's definitely had some cotton candy.
Wow.
Well, Kyle Seager leading off the top of the 4th inning, and nice to be back home. We are joined by Mark McLemore, Rangers Live, pre and post. Mac, it's nice to see you again.
Well, it's good to see you guys back here.
Yeah.
I heard you guys had a little diversion last night.
Yeah, it was a little side trip to Austin. We they thought we might want to go down and see the state capitol, but unfortunately, when we got there, everything was closed, so we couldn't sightsee. Yeah, it was a nice evening.
Well, it wasn't so nice here in the Metroplex.
No, I know it.
That was not a lot of fun.
No, and our thoughts are with all those folks who were affected by the terrible weather we've had here lately. Certainly hope that get everything taken care of the way it needs to be, because that's not we're not making light of that, believe me. Elvis near the bag at second will throw out Seager, one gone. Yeah, you would have liked the flight in here too. You ever had a Charlie Huff as the captain of a flight where you're throwing that knuckleball? That's about how it felt being inside that cabin last night.
That's not a lot of fun. Actually, my first flight in the big leagues, actually second flight. Actually, it was my first flight with the team. I met the team in Chicago, and we're leaving Chicago, and this is September. And the weather was bad, and let's just put it this way. I was extremely scared. I held on. My handprints are in those seats.
Yeah.
It was, we bounced and up and down, and it was very scary. And I'm thinking, if this is what the big leagues is about, I might want to rethink this. If all the flights are like this.
Yeah. The people that happening. And then there are ones like our fearless director Kurt Dykert, producer, I should say. He slept through the whole thing.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Wow.
He didn't even know what happened.
Wow.
No, he's different. Let's put it that way.
That's an art to be able to sleep like that.
Well, I'll tell you
he
what,
slept like a baby.
The bad part of it was nobody around him could sleep, though. He was snoring so loud. Wow.
The key is if you want to sleep, you just have to get to sleep before he does.
That's what kept the plane on the ground in Austin for 2 hours. They thought every time he snored, there was a tornado coming through.
Kurt's wife says, "What time you going to bed tonight?" About 11. Okay, I'm going at 10:30.
with my earplugs. Oh, goodness. Got to have something to liven things up, you know?
Yes, we do. I can't wait till tomorrow, or actually after the show, after the game tonight, when Kurt talks to you guys. That's what I want to hear.
Mullen a dive from his knees. He will throw out Ricky Weeks. Nice play, Mitch Moreland.
Yeah, a lot of range right there for a big guy. And the all-out dive, he needed every inch of it, too. Turned it into a nice play.
It's a tough play there. That's one of those, he was in between. Kind of wasn't sure if he was going to go for it or not. He said, I got to get this one, and made the play. Nice play. Gallardo did a great job of covering.
Did you ever play first base, Mac, at all?
Never. That's one of the three that I never played.
The thing that good Major League first basemen do so effortlessly is that little flip, which looks to me to be something that's a lot harder than it looks, to flip a ball, 10 feet with something on it accurately. It looks simple, but I don't think it is that simple.
It's not. It really isn't. Even from second base, when that pitcher's coming over to cover, like if Mitch had not made that play, then Odor was going to be there to get it and have to throw to the pitcher covering. That's tough. That was one of my toughest plays from second base, trying to make sure I didn't throw it too hard and just get enough on it to get that to get the runner out.
Right.
Woodhead going backpedaling out in the shallow right field, takes care of that hopper from Brad Miller. It's a 3-up, 3-down inning. We'll head on to the bottom of the fourth, 2-0 Mariners. Park in Arlington and see Tracy Lawrence presented by Budweiser. Tickets and passes to watch the show from the field are both available at texasrangers.com/concerts. Now the Rangers come to bat here in the bottom of the fourth inning, trailing 2-0. Carlos Peguero to start things off. And Peguero takes the Taijuan Walker breaking ball that hangs high. Peguero a strikeout his first time up. One ball and one strike. We were talking about Taijuan Walker, a big guy like that, a very easy, fluid motion. Tough for a hitter to pick up the ball from a guy like that, Mac, for you?
There was no question. I didn't like those fluid guys. And Walker looks to me as though he hides the ball pretty well, especially from left-handers. So being that big, and then all of a sudden here, he's halfway to home plate already, and then all of a sudden here comes that 95.
Yeah.
It's already tough enough to hit 95, and then when a guy's, kind of sneaky, you see him here, he's just a little bit closed off. And then all of a sudden that last minute, there it is. But there it is at 95, and he's already halfway home. It makes it difficult to pick up. It really does. And then if he's got some movement, he's got a cutter, very nice cutter. And if he's throwing that cutter, wow, those left-handers better watch out for their knuckles.
And Peguero draws the walk. Well, the Rangers get their first free pass of the night, issued to Carlos Peguero, one on, nobody out for Prince Fielder. And with Prince coming to the plate, let's head down and check in with Emily Jones. Em?
You guys were talking about the precarious flight back into Dallas, and it's bad when the guys are talking about it in the clubhouse the next day. And Prince and Adrian were talking about, and I asked it, how bad was it? Adrian's like, oh, I wasn't that bad. I wasn't that scared. And Prince is like, you don't know what you're talking about. I was terrified. And they're going through the scenarios of, really, what are the odds that this plane is going to go down? It just was quite humorous.
I have to admit, I did hear Prince back there a couple times let out a hoop.
Yeah, that was the kind of flight where every now and then you heard, whoa, from about 15 people in the back of the plane.
Yeah, I walked into the clubhouse, and I asked Josh Frazier, I said, how bad was it? And he said, so bad that I buckled my seatbelt. And he looked at me and said, Jones, you would have messed yourself, basically, is what he said to me, because he knows how bad of a flyer I am. So I guess it's better for everyone involved.
Adrian Beltre banging that into left field for a single. That moves Fielder to second. Rangers for the first time tonight now have two runners aboard at the same time. Mitch Moreland coming up.
Now, have you guys had any teammates that were horrible flyers?
Yeah, Cesar Tovar. Cesar Tovar was so bad that back then we didn't always have commercials. Sometimes we flew day of the game. Yeah. You'd sleep over in the city you just played and then leave early in the morning to the next city. He was so terrified he would have a couple of drinks in the morning, and we had a game that day. That's how scared. Otherwise, he couldn't get on the plane. He was so scared. Wow. And then there's been guys in other sports, maybe even baseball, who wanted to drive and not even fly. Yeah. They were so scared. Some guys have had to leave the sport because they were so scared.
I had a
John Madden.
Yeah.
Madden would not fly, period. No.
The bus.
Yeah.
No, I had a teammate. You guys remember Alan Mills?
Sure.
Baltimore.
Sure. Yeah.
If that plane just took a little bump, a little turn, anything like that, he's strapped in, sunglasses on. It didn't matter if it's midnight, 1 a.m. He had his. Oh, wow.
Mitch says thank you very much.
He'll take it.
Give Mitch a hit.
He'll take it.
Funny thing is that's exactly where it was going to end up anyway. First and third with an out. He's going to get a force out at second base. The ball hits him. Mitch gets a base hit on that play.
Yeah, it's first and second because Fielder has to go back.
Ah, that's right.
Now it wouldn't surprise me if Adrian did that on purpose.
Get him a base hit.
Get him a base hit. He knows there's going to be an out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's just a smart veteran player right there. He knows there's going to be an out somewhere. Not going to turn two, but he knows there's going to be an out somewhere. Wow.
And notice that that ball wasn't hit too hard, so he wasn't going to worry about having to take part of his leg off.
That's the other thing.
a little wry smile on his face.
We've seen some smart plays from some of these guys here in the last week or so.
Elvis Andrus takes that pitch just off the outer edge. And the count moves to 2 balls and no strikes. And Zunino going to go out and have a chat with his 22-year-old right-hander, Taijuan Walker.
You know, if I remember Alan Mills, Mac, did he have similar stuff as Walker? He had a mid-90s fastball, didn't he?
He did. Yes, he did.
Hard slider,
hard slider, and did not mind throwing inside. And you know, he had the goatee working.
Yeah,
and, you know, he had that hat down like Dave Stewart.
Yeah.
And so he was very menacing on the mound, but not in person, not in real life, especially on a plane.
Low throw, and it gets by and into the Ranger dugout, and that will score Prince Fielder.
The Rangers catch a break.
Brad Miller.
Rangers gave Seattle a run just like that. Now they get one back just like that.
Now a 2-1 game.
Take advantage of the mistakes. See if we can get something out of it here.
They're all the way on the throw. Well, now second and third. Still 2 outs. Here's Chu. Takes ball 1.
Time to make the play. Plenty of time to make the play. Just do a sinker.
Chu a strikeout his first time. That evens the count now. A ball and a strike. Shin-Soo with the average at 102. He has really fallen on some tough times. 1 for his last 27. And make that 28. Well, the Rangers come up with a run. Couple of hits, an error, and 2 men left. After 4 complete, it's the Mariners 2, the Rangers 1 on Fox Sports Southwest. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by the Mazda 6. J.D. Power has awarded the Mazda 6 highest ranked vehicle appeal among mid-sized cars. Well, the Rangers cutting into the Mariner lead. It's now 2-1. As the Mariners come to bat here in the 5th inning, Willie Bloomquist leading things off, and Giovanni Gallardo, since that first inning, has retired the last 9 hitters. Make that the last 10 hitters. We'll go back to Brad Miller, who made the last out of the first inning. Bloomquist caught looking at a third strike. His first time, and he would have preferred he looked at that one because he banged it down on his foot instead.
How many pitches did Giovanni have in the first inning? Was it 30?
35.
35?
Yeah.
So he had 35 in the first inning. He's had 30 to get 9 straight outs after that.
There it is.
Wow.
9, 9, 11.
He's had less pitches since then than he did in the first inning.
Now, Buzz, what causes that? I mean, could it be going from the bullpen mound to the game mound?
I think what it is, Mackie, sometimes you get into a physical routine to where your body's out in front of your arm a little bit. Pitchers talk about it as rushing toward the plate. And it, once you start that, it's real tough to get into competition and focus on changing that. And you have to make a concerted effort to slow yourself down to get the timing between your body and your arm back to where it needs to be. And it took Gallardo the first inning to deal with it, and then the time between the first and second innings to make the mental adjustment. Once he went back out and focused on getting his hand where it needed to be in relation to the rest of his body, he was fine. That's something that amazed me, because if I started doing that in a particular game, I couldn't stop it.
Wow.
I had no adjustment for it. So I ended up throwing a lot of sliders because I could get that ball down. I couldn't get the fastball down when I was doing that.
You guys, I want to go back to a play that happened in the Saturday ball game.
Okay.
With Elvis, Pujols hit that pop up, and Elvis let it drop. I've gotten a ton of questions since then about why he did that. This is a great play. It doesn't happen very often. It has to be the right situation. But you've got Mike Trout, one of the fastest players in the game, on first base, and Pujols hits a sky-high pop-up, and Elvis at the last second lets it drop. And the reason he did that, it wasn't because he missed it or lost it or anything like that. It was a planned play. You take that fast runner off the base pass, which is Mike Trout, and put a slower one on. And in that situation, it's the fourth inning, and the Rangers are up 1-0. And actually, Trout was running on the play, so that really made it a smart play, because this is a guy that can steal a base pretty much whenever he wants to and get into scoring position in that situation. And then all it would take is a base hit to tie that game. So, yeah, you look at him round second base, and if Pujols hadn't hit the moon with this fly ball, they would have been able to probably turn a double play, because Elvis would have been able to catch it and then throw it to first base. But great heads-up play by Elvis, and it has to be the right situation, the right time, and you've got to have the right batters. And typically, when a hitter hits a ball like that, he doesn't go halfway down the line. He may get a third of the way down the line, and you can really have an opportunity to double him up. But at least you get the fast guy off the bases and put the slower one up. So you don't see it happen very often in the big leagues, but there are guys that definitely know how to do it, and fortunately it worked out for the Rangers Saturday.
The ones, I don't know that I've ever seen this, maybe more than once, is you got a man on first base and a little pop-up. They let the pop-up drop. The batter's so mad that he popped up, he doesn't run. Right. They tossed a second back to first, and the guy's hit into a double play. That's an embarrassing one for the hitter. I don't know that you'll see that very often, but.
Well, like you said, you won't see it more than once from one guy, because he won't be playing after that.
Yeah. One of the questions that I kept getting was, why wasn't that an infield fly rule? Well, there was only one runner on base.
Right.
The infield fly only comes into effect when there's a runner at first and second, or the bases are loaded. So with one out or with one runner on, it doesn't apply to that. That doesn't apply.
They let you get away with it with one man on, but with two, they protect so you can't turn a double play.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, Elvis tried to do that play. It was on a line drive instead.
Yeah, he dropped it.
And the umpire was like, no. But, hey, he's thinking. I love it.
As Pagero retreats on that Zunino line drive, that's out number 2.
So, Mac, on that same play, if Elvis got underneath it and kind of was going to catch the ball, then decided, so he caught it and then dropped it. Can't do that, right?
No, can't do that.
But you can let it drop without touching it.
You can let it drop, not touch it, and that's it, and you can pick it up and go from there. Actually, if the ball hadn't kicked away, he might have been able to get Pujols, because Pujols wasn't really that far down the line.
Yeah. If he picked it up and fired it quickly to first, he might have gotten Pujols. Then they could have gotten the other runner.
Gotten Trout in the rundown.
But at that point in time, he's just thinking what you said. I'll switch runners and be happy about it.
Great move, because you've got Pujols on first base. He's not going to score on a ball in the gap or down the line.
Right.
He's going to be at third base. Trout, he's coming across with no problem. You see here, Trout's getting back. Now that ball kind of kicked away from Elvis a little bit. Pujols is not even halfway down, maybe. And so if that ball hadn't kicked away, Elvis might have had to play at first base to actually have a chance to get the double play.
Well, let's look at it. Let's take it a step further. Now, if Elvis picks that up and he throws it to first base, they're both on first base.
They're both on first base. You tag the runner.
Yep.
You tag the run. Actually, that's a good question.
I think you only get one because watch
Tag the runner.
The runner's going back. Yeah, but you can't tag him if he's on first base.
Yeah, you can the guy because he is obligated to go to second.
Right.
So you tag him before you step on first.
Tag the runner and then step on
right,
first.
Right. That would take a lot of thinking.
Yeah,
that might be too much thinking.
That takes a lot of thinking. I mean, we're analyzing it here, talking back and forth. They got to do it while that ball's in the air.
All in less than 2 seconds. If that ball had, if it hadn't kicked to the left, if it had just hit and maybe, kicked into Elvis or just dropped and stayed right there, there would have been some other options.
Right. I think if I was the first baseman and Elvis picked it up and fired it to me, I don't think I would have had the presence of mind to tag the runner first to get the force out and then touch for. I don't think I would have known that.
Yeah, that's.
I really wasn't thinking it until you told me that, Buzz.
Yeah, that's something you got to go over and practice and have that formulated in your head already.
Yeah, you have to have a pretty thorough PFP in spring training.
Yeah.
To have that one covered.
And Ruggiano draws his second walk of the night, and that snaps a string of 12 hitters retired by Yovani Gallardo. The third walk issued by Gallardo tonight, and it brings up Seth Smith. Smith had the walk in the first inning. Last time up, skied to center. Smith with more at bats against Gallardo than the other Mariners. Takes that pitch on the outside corner for strike one.
I guess the time, Mac, would you say that you would see that similar play more often on a sacrifice bunt with a guy on first back to the pitcher, where the pitcher lets it drop instead of catching it?
I would probably say a third baseman or first baseman.
Not
more
the pitcher?
because I don't think the pitcher's really thinking about that. I think he's trying to get an out.
Throw down to second, not in time to get the sliding Ruggiano. Elvis did a pretty good job of coming up with that short hop and ended up having that throw right down on the bag almost. And Ruggiano with the stolen base, and Jeff Bannister out of the Ranger dugout. He is looking back in the dugout for guidance here.
Oh, does he go by it?
No.
Wow.
I tell you, this replay stuff is great.
Yeah.
Ruggiano trying to keep his feet. He knows he can't lift the foot off the base. The first one comes off. The second. Oh, it came off for a second. It sure did. But was his glove on him when that happened?
Yeah, I think he had his glove on him the whole time. Wow.
Yeah, they're not gonna risk a challenge on that, I guess.
Did you ever pull that play, Mac, where you put the tag on the runner like that?
Absolutely.
Hope he takes his foot off the bag.
Absolutely.
And you push his foot off the bag a little bit?
I've given some guys some help. It hasn't always worked, but it has worked on some occasions. When I'd steal bases, I would come off sometimes. So I knew as a second baseman, keep the glove on a guy. Mm-hmm. And there were certain guys that you knew would come into second base. Not hard to take anybody out, but just come in hard. And sometimes, depending on how wet or dry the field was, they could come off the base easily.
Yeah.
So there are certain guys that you knew, okay, keep that tag on. Kenny Lofton was one of those guys. So, he's going so fast, he needed a parachute to slow down sometimes. So he was a guy, keep it on there.
A ball and 2 strikes, the count to Smith. Up the middle into center field, a base hit. Ruggiano around third will score without a throw. And immediately the stolen base after the walk comes back to haunt Yovani Gallardo. It is now a 3-1 Seattle lead.
Second baseman, Robinson.
Try to throw that ball a little bit much more inside than that. The movement brought it back out over the plate. Looked like Odor was playing, shading a little bit toward first base. That found the hole.
So a manufactured run with 2 outs here in the 5th inning. Now Robinson and Cano will come up. 1 ball, no strikes. Cano has reached center fielder's choice. That was back in the 1st inning, and he came around to score. Last time up, flied to pretty deep right field. There's a strike, 1-1. The doubles leaders in the American League, Cano with 8 of them. Evan Longoria with 7. Well, Cano just continues to, year after year, we'd mentioned 6 consecutive years that he has hit 300 or better. The temperature's fallen like a rock here tonight. Chilled a little bit.
It is chilly.
That wind coming out of the Hawk is blowing out of the north. 1-2 to Cano. Call strike 3. Cano completely crossed up, and he's thinking, kick one right down the middle. That'll do it, but Mariners come up with a run on a hit and leave one halfway through the ballgame. 3-1 Seattle.
Here at Globe Life Park, we got Peruna, and we got the SMU cheerleaders, and we got Sarah, who's been flip-flopping around the stadium. Show us a little bit of the work, Sarah. Very nice. You girls having a good time, Reed?
Yes, we are.
Okay, now get this, Buzz and Tom. Reed's dad used to pitch for the Texas Rangers. Now, Tom, I talked to him a little while ago. He said you cannot answer this. He wanted to see if Buzz can get this right.
Okay.
He pitched for the Rangers and won their very first playoff game. Who would that be, Buzz? Who?
Pitched for the Rangers and won their very first playoff game.
Yes.
That would be John Burkett.
Exactly right. Buzz got it, John. He got it right.
That's a shocker. I didn't think Buzz would get it. Tom would get it right away. But, good job, Buzz.
Now, John, explain to us right now. You turned 50. Now you're going to do what?
I am bowling on the senior tour, which I'm sure some people out there probably remember that I bowled a lot. And now, unfortunately, I'm 50 years old, and I can go out there and do it. So I bowled my first 2 tournaments last 2 weeks in Florida, finished 73rd and 24th, and I'm going to bowl the U.S. Open at the end of May.
All right, well, great seeing you. How many years in the big league? 16?
14 and a half.
14 and a half, who's counting? Very good. And your daughter now cheers at SMU. You keep close, and that's why he's here on SMU night here at Globe Life Park. Buzz?
Yeah, Noxie asked him if he still has to ice his arm down after he bowls.
Oh, yeah, good question. Buzz wants to know, do you still have to ice your arm down after you bowl?
No, it's not. I probably could. It might feel better the next day, but I never really thought about that.
That would be easy to do with that. Noxie, tell him it was a joke.
He took it serious, Buzz. But, hey, can you believe it? He never had an arm injury. Never had an arm injury.
I had a couple little minor tendonitis and that kind of thing, but I think I only missed 4 or 5 starts in my career.
Probably because you bowled since you were 6.
I think so, yeah. I think it had something to do with my winter activity. I'm bowling and using my arm during the winter instead of taking that long break.
There we go. All right, appreciate it, John. Thanks.
One more question.
Yes.
Noxie, ask him if he's going to start a fantasy bowling league.
Oh, you're going to start a fantasy bowling league?
Oh, wow. Not a bad idea. Hey, it's the only one we don't have.
There we go.
John is the commissioner of one of our fantasy football leagues.
The commish, huh?
Oh, yeah. He's one of the all-time fanatics, boy.
Yeah. Say one of the things most people don't know about Burkett, he was in charge of our music.
Was he?
On the planes and in the clubhouse. Absolutely. Wow. He had everything for everybody.
Wow.
So, yeah, he had this boom box he'd bring on the plane with him. We had a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
You get veteran teams like you guys had in the mid-'90s around here. Those are a lot of fun.
Oh, we had a blast.
If I remember right, when the Rangers traded for him, his first game was it in Toronto?
In
When
Toronto.
he pitched that really good game?
In Toronto, yes.
Well, Rangers go quietly in the 5th. Mac, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll see you after the ball game.
See you later.
3-1 Seattle as we go to the 6th. Come on out and join the Texas Rangers players, coaches, and alumni for the Park Place Dealerships Texas Ranger Triple Play Game Show Spectacular. This year will be a Big Top Badge on Sunday, May 17th at the Hilton Anatole. Proceeds benefit the Texas Rangers Baseball Foundation. And to purchase tickets or get more information, visit TexasRangers.com/triple play or call 817-436-5933. Nelson Cruz leading off the top of the 6th inning, a 3-1 Seattle lead. Cruz 1 for 2 tonight. Had an RBI single in the 1st. Last time up, grounded a 2nd. Nelly a .315 average. 21 runs driven in now with that RBI in the first. 0-2. Gallardo able to jump out in front. One of 7 players with 20-plus home runs in each season since 2009. It's a pretty select company. Gallardo's 0-2. Of course, Cruz had that 5-game streak where he hit 6 home runs, had a home run in each game, plus 1 2-home run game. It really launched him after a very rough start to the year. He went 1 for 15 in his first 4 games, and since April the 11th has hit 375.
Wow.
Two and 2 the count. And off the outside corner. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Cruz trying to start the 6th by getting aboard, and Kyle Seager, the Mariner third baseman, waits to be next. Right field down the line. It is slicing and going foul. Well, Cruz back to the dish. Gallardo approaching the 100 pitch level. 96 of them so far, but considering he had 35 in the first, that's a pretty minimal number of pitches to get to this point. Got him swinging.
Good fastball. Got that one inside and got him.
5th strikeout for Gallardo tonight. Seager coming up. Let's send it over to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. Dana? All right, Dana, thank you. Kyle Seager 0 for 2, and that should be headlines when he's in this ballpark. Rangers have had not many ways to get him out. Beltre coming down through the coach's box, makes the catch.
Well, if 0 for 2 is not headlines, 0 for 3
0 for
is.
3 should be. Nice play by Adrian. That ball almost not hit high enough to make a play on. That is out number 2. And it brings up Ricky Weeks. Adrian can throw from right there, and he can make the catch from right there.
Yep.
Weeks a single in 2 trips. Last time up, he was robbed by a great diving stop by Mitch Moreland at first. 0-1. Well, really important, too, after the extra inning game yesterday that Gallardo get fairly deep in this game, and after the first inning, you're starting to think, well, now, wait a minute, our long guy, Anthony Bass.
I have to admit, I was looking at the 7 guys in the bullpen and trying to figure out who was going to pitch the innings.
Anthony Bass had worked the last couple of days in non-long situations, the first time he'd done that. So, guys have been used quite a bit on the road trip, and it would have been difficult if Gallardo had not gotten himself together. And he has another 1, 2, 3 innings, so he might go back out to the 7th. We'll see how that transpires. 5.5 in the books. 3-1 Seattle over the Rangers. pregame brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $1,000 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Patrick Curry from Cedar Hill. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Patrick Curry from Cedar Hill will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. You've got the big guys coming up, starting with Carlos Peguero against Taijuan Walker. Maybe a chance to win 1,000. Who knows? You get three guys on and maybe 25,000 coming your way. A ball and a strike. Peguero has walked and struck out. 0 for 1 officially. Batting average at an even 200. That ball's hammered to right field. Hooking at the pole and foul.
Boy, he turned that inside fastball around.
Patrick sit back down.
We haven't seen him do that very often yet, but we certainly know he's got the ability to do it. He's hit 30 home runs in the minor leagues. Still trying to make it work at the big league level, but that ball, he was able to get the good part of the bat on that. What looked like maybe a little cutting action to the fastball. Just ripped it down the line.
That was almost hit too hard to hook.
Man.
1 ball and 2 strikes. A collective huge sigh let out in Cedar Hill. Strikeout number 4 for Taijuan Walker as he went upstairs. So 1 gone. Here's Prince Fielder. One of the toughest pitches in all of baseball to hit that high fastball from a guy like Taijuan Walker. Get it up in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
Elevate that.
It's one you know it's tough to hit, but it's also tough to lay off of.
Fielder takes a little bit low. 2 balls, no strikes. Prince went the other way with the double in the first inning. Last time up, reached on a fielder's choice and came around to score. And let's check with Emily again, Em.
Well, just speaking to the superstitions of baseball players today, Prince Fielder in the clubhouse said, hey, Emily, let me know when you want to do another interview so I can get 2 hits, because apparently the last time we did an interview, he got 2 hits. Today we did an interview. He still has 2 hits.
That would have been unbelievable
though.
timing.
He still has 2 hits. Even though he didn't get one there, he still got 2. But it would have been epic if he could have made it 3 right there.
Emily, your timing is impeccable. Really. All you needed was a little help from Ricky Weeks falling down or something. That would have,
Almost.
Man.
Almost. But we'll take 2. We'll take 2.
Yeah.
And a couple more runs.
Here's Adrian Beltre. Beltre 1 for 2. Average now up over the 200 mark at 203. On the outer edge for strike 1. You mentioned Adrian starting to get a little bit better results. Hit 241 on the just completed road trip. Hits this one hard, but comes up for Brad Miller, the shortstop. And that'll do it. Taijuan Walker able to work a 1, 2, 3, 6th inning. We're going to the 7th in Arlington. It's the Mariners 3, the Rangers 1 on Fox Sports Southwest. some trouble in the first inning. Nelly Cruz with the RBI base hit. 2 across in that Mariner first. And then a little help from the defense? No, not quite. Throwing error made it 2-0. And then Gallardo really settled down nicely. He retired 16 of the last 18 Mariners that he faced. Yolandi Gallardo making it through 6 innings, and he gives way to Stolmy Pimentel to start off the 7th. Well, that answers our question about who would come into the ball game first, and it's going to be Pimentel.
Yeah, Stolmy probably has had the longest layoff out in the bullpen. He pitched in 3 ball games, done a good job so far.
Rangers got Pimentel on a waiver claim from the Pirates back on the 11th of April. Now he will face the bottom third of the order, Brad Miller. Takes strike 1. Miller is 0 for 2 tonight, a strikeout and a ground out. Next pitch is lined to right field. That's in for a base hit. Well, Miller safely aboard to start off the Mariners 7th. That is just the 4th hit of the night for Seattle.
A high changeup right near the middle of the plate. Got a good swing at it. It's one of those pitches you should have a pretty good swing at it.
No one on, nobody out. Here's Willie Bloomquist, who is 0 for 2. Bloomquist caught looking at a 3rd strike in the 2nd inning. Last time up, grounded to short. Stolmy Pimentel, a 25-year-old right-hander from the Dominican Republic, facing the veteran utility player Willie Bloomquist, and he is working on Brad Miller at first. And this might be one of those situations where Lloyd McClendon would try to play for 1 run, although with Mike Zunino, the number 9 hitter, due up next, doubtful you put a sacrifice on with Bloomquist, but you might try to use a hit and run or some such device. Bloomquist over the years has learned how to handle that bat pretty well. One ball, no strikes. Pimentel, a check of first. There goes Bloomquist, and the hit and run was on, but it's fouled off. We'll reset and try it again. Brad Miller tried to stay out there at second base. He did foul it off, didn't he?
He must not have fouled it. Must not have fouled it off. I thought he fouled it off too.
I did too. The way Chirinos kind of looked around before he went back to get it. No, he did not. Just off the edge of Robinson's glove. So it's going to go down as a stolen base.
It looked like, that pitch is supposed to be inside, I think. Right. And the way Robinson was setting up to catch it, he assumed the ball was going to be inside. And then when it was 6 inches outside, was unable to get his glove back that far.
Lundqvist pokes it foul. Still 1-2. The stolen base, the second of the night for the Mariners. Luciano had a stolen base in the 5th inning that led to a run. And Brad Miller credited with a stolen base here in the 7th inning. Pimentel checks it. Got him swinging. And 90 with some good sinking action to it. That is strikeout number 1. And we'll bring up Mike Zunino. Let's go down and check in with Emily Jones again, yeah?
Well, gentlemen, it is time for our Kubota Power Stats, and this is a very, very special happy anniversary.
Oh, my goodness.
This is the anniversary. I think it's 42, if I did the math right. of your first no-hitter versus Detroit on this night in 1973, the first no-hitter in Royals history, and the first MLB no-hitter in the DH era. And I have never met someone who downplays an accomplishment more than you, Steve Busby. Not once, but twice. Congrats. Happy anniversary, sir.
Thank you very much, Emily. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it very much.
If I had a no-hitter, I would have it tattooed on my forehead, just so you know.
I'm glad you don't, then. Please don't join a lady softball league and throw one.
Oh, goodness. Zunino tonight is struck out and lined to left field. Up there facing Stolmy Pimentel with Brad Miller, the runner at second. One out here in the 7th inning. A little inside move. Odor trying to sneak closer to the bag, but Miller was having none of that. Over the outside corner for a strike. It's 1-1.
Looks like Buzz's son.
Airbrushing does wonders.
What was the temperature that night? What was the weather like when you threw that game?
In Detroit, it was cold.
Was it cold?
Yeah, it was 30, 38 or 39, something like that. It was chilly.
Who had the closest to a base hit?
Rich Reese. He came on as a pinch hitter. He had a line drive in the 9th inning with Duke Sims at first base. Mayberry was holding him on. The line drive right at Mayberry. Standing on the bag. Yeah. If there's nobody on, it's a
easy play, but a hard hit ball.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a double if there's nobody on base. Flagging that down. Beltre has one there.
That's running into a double play.
That is running into a double play, and that's turning one thanks to great hands and great instincts by Adrian Beltre. No runs, a hit. And this play takes place with 2 outs on 1 play. Stretch time in Arlington, 3-1 in favor of Seattle. Fans, on Sunday, May 17th, Rangers wrap up a 3-game set against the Cleveland Indians. And it's also the first kids giveaway of the season. First 7,500 kids, 13 and under, will receive a U t-shirt, courtesy of Scott's Miracle Grow. Visit TexasRangers.com for tickets today. No, I'm not going to wave. I don't care what you bribe me with. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pay any attention to that camera. Yeah, I didn't. Like we had out in Anaheim was blanket giveaway night. They could have used that here tonight. It's a little chilly.
It's getting chillier.
Mitch Moreland starting things off. Taijuan Walker deals strike one. Walker has been outstanding tonight. 76 pitches now as he goes to work in the 7th inning. Moreland 1 for 2.
Each start he's had has gotten better. The first one was a clunker, 9 runs in 3 1/3. Then he gave up 5 runs in 4 innings and 1 run in 5 1/3. And he had 8 strikeouts in 5 1/3, but this was by far his best start. He's only walked 1 batter. Coming into the game, he'd walked 10 in 12 2/3.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Mitch. Moreland with that infield hit that was runner interference. Adrian Beltre hit by the pitch, so it went down or hit by the batted ball, so it went down as a hit for Mitch. And Moreland goes down on strikes. That is the 5th strikeout for Walker tonight. 1 gone for Elvis Andrus.
Good fastball, pumped it in there at 94 miles an hour.
And before Elvis steps in, let's send it over to Dana Larson again for a Mazda game break. Thank you, Dana. Elvis up there with nobody on, 1 out here in the 7th. Elvis has been on base once via an error. He hit the ground ball in the 4th inning. It led to the throwing error from Brad Miller, allowing the Ranger run to score. Two balls and a strike. Elvis is a 205 average as he faces Walker. Up the middle into center field, a base hit. Elvis with his first safety of the evening. He is aboard for Shin-Soo
See Elvis with a little leg kick. They always, when guys have a leg kick, you always hear the hitting coach talking about he has to get the foot down on the ground soon enough. If you get your foot down too late, you're going to be late with your swing. So guys that do have a leg kick sometimes have a timing issue. Stands to reason if you're late getting your foot down, it's pretty hard to swing the bat with your foot off the ground.
Yeah. I never understood how guys could use that anyway, that kind of a leg kick.
No, me either.
Some of the big, like Ruben used to have. Sierra.
Yeah. Ruben used to kick his toe behind his back leg sometimes. It was so dramatic. Ruben could do almost anything when he was young because he was such an incredibly gifted athlete.
A normal person try that would be falling down.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
A ball and a strike to Chu. Chu has had a strikeout and a ground out tonight. Lines this one to left. Ricky Weeks, though, able to make the grab. Back to first goes Andrus. That is out number 2. And Rougned Odor coming up. Chu 0 for 3 as he heads back to the Ranger dugout.
At least on that particular at-bat, Shin-Soo had a good swing, had a good fastball away, and hit a rope. Unfortunately, when you're having trouble getting hits, even the hard line drives end up going right at somebody, and that was the case with that one. Went right at Ricky Weeks. A little bit one way or the other. Rangers have something going.
Odor takes a strike on the inside corner. Charlie Furbush and Dominic Leone on the right-hander. One ball and one strike. Mariners have been very careful over the years with Taijuan Walker. Monitored not only his innings pitched, but the frequency and the number of pitches he threw, even working out. They felt they had a very valuable commodity in this young right-hander, and progressed through the minor leagues at a relatively slow pace, but very controlled pace. And it looks like it's going to pay dividends. He got a chance to be a pretty good major league pitcher. Two and one. And the newest member of the Ranger bullpen was called up today, Alex Claudio, left-hander. In case you missed the news earlier, Tanner Shepard's option to AAA Round Rock, and Alex Claudio got the call. Well, the Rangers, after 18 ball games, finally have a left-hander in the bullpen they can go to. There's that move for you graphically. Claudio this season, 6 games at AAA, 6 strikeouts and only 1 walk, 186 earned run average. And Tanner Shepard's not able to get himself together early. There goes Elvis, and the pitch is grounded into right field, a base hit. Elvis will motor on around the third. Ball coming back into home plate, and the Rangers now with 2 outs have runners at first and third for Robinson Chirinos.
Well, Rudy has a couple of base hits tonight. An infield hit. Pulled that one in the hole to make it first and third. The Rangers trying to make something happen.
Echo pitch tracker showing you that right down at the bottom of the strike zone. And Ruben Odor, they banged that one in to right field. Lloyd McClendon out of the Seattle dugout. He is out there on the mound now talking to the entire infield along with Taijuan Walker. See what the skipper wants to do, and looks like he's going to stick with the big right-hander. Just had a message that he wanted to get across, and that message has been delivered. The runners at first and third. Robinson Chirinos, a strikeout and a flyout tonight. Rangers trailing 3-1. They have the tying runs on base here in the 7th inning. To center field. Kind of a late break for Ruggiano, but he's there in time, and that will do it. Rangers get 2 hits with Strantu after 7. 3-1 Seattle.
Has to be this couple. We got Dougal and Carol Lee. Flew all the way in from Australia. When did you get to town?
Today.
And then taking in your very first baseball game. What do you think so far?
Yeah, it's pretty unreal because it's much more exciting than back home. So, yeah, it's very exciting.
And Carol Lee, you just sampled some of the food. What have you had?
I've had the nachos, I've had the chicken and chips, and we had a roll burger meat thing. It was amazing.
Very nice. Very good. Okay, well, congratulations. Here's the shirt. Progressive fan of the game. Way to go. Anything else you'd like to say?
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Woo! Go Rangers!
There we go. Good day, mates. There we go.
I thought Noxie was going to have him say good day, Mike.
Domi Pimentel starting off the 8th inning now, dealing to the top of the Mariner order. Justin Ruggiano, who has walked twice, scored both times. 0 for 1 officially. Well, the Rangers is continuing what they had going on the road, and that was inability to get big hits in close ball games. Had opportunities, especially in the LA series, against the Angels to bust a couple of those games wide open and couldn't get it done.
Yeah. And they had one against Archie Bradley in the first inning of that Arizona series, too, early in the game.
1-2 pitch. That will even things at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Pimentel's next pitch. And a little nubber. Big right-hander bounces off and throws out Ruggiano. 1 gone for Seth Smith. Well, our T-Mobile game changer. How about Chris Bryant tonight against the Pittsburgh Pirates? 2 for 4, 2 RBI this season. Apparently he's not intimidated by the big leagues. 351 his average and 9 RBI. This is a kid that wasn't brought up until the middle of the month. Well, Chris Bryant, hats off to you, young man. And that is going to do it for Domi Pimentel, as Alex Claudio is going to be called in from the Ranger bullpen to face Smith and Cano. So a pitching change underway here at Globe Life Park. We'll take a timeout. We're back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Audio now coming into the delight of Ranger fans. 23-year-old left-hander from Puerto Rico, making his first appearance of the year at the major league level. 6 games at AAA Round Rock, 1-0 with a 186 earned run average. Just 1 walk and 6 strikeouts. And he's facing Seth Smith, the designated hitter, who looks at strike 1. Claudio, a 27th round pick by the Rangers back in the 2010 draft out of Puerto Rico. A changeup specialist and that big sweeping breaking ball also against left-handers. Smith 1 for 2 with a walk and an RBI tonight. Now down on the count and a ball and 2 strikes. You know, coming out of spring training, Jeff Bannister said he wasn't really concerned about not having a left-hander in the bullpen because he felt he had enough guys that could get left-handers out that were right-handed throwers. But it's still nice to have a guy down there that you're pretty sure is going to battle left-handers from that side of the mound. Especially when you get a guy like the man in the on-deck circle, Robinson Cano. Numbers for Cano are glaring. That ball is hit pretty well to right field. Chu retreating. And makes the grab for out number
2. Second baseman Robinson
Cano coming up now. Cano's ledger, you look at the left-hander, right-hander breakdown. Against left-handers, Cano is hitting 182. You look on the other side against right-handers, 333. What that averages out to is a 276 average right now. On the outside corner for strike 1. Cano tonight has reached on a fielder's choice. Sorry, Tom.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say Cano has hit 300 the last 6 years. One of the best hitters in the game. Leads the league in doubles right now. People thought his power numbers might go down a little bit going from Yankee Stadium to Seattle, where it's a little tougher to hit a home run. That's probably the case. But he'll probably still drive 40 doubles or more.
In the air to shallow right field. Long run in for Chu. Still coming in. He makes a sliding catch. And that will do it. Nice play by Sincere Chu to take a base hit away from Cano. 3 up, 3 down. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Mariners lead the Rangers by 2.
Trailing the Mariners 3-1. This game 1 of a 3-game series between these two teams, which means tomorrow will be game 2, another 7 o'clock, hopefully, weather permitting, first pitch. As a couple of the game's hotter hitters going at it once again, Robinson Cano and Prince fielder Ross Detweiler getting the start for the Rangers tomorrow. Things get going at 7 o'clock, and all of this great information brought to you by AT TEX.
All right, Emily, thank you very much. Now, Charlie Furbush, the late inning left-hander for the Seattle Mariners, now comes in to pitch the 8th inning. It's 3-1 Mariner lead, and he will deal to Leonis Martin, who takes outside for ball 1. A couple of defensive changes. We will get to you right after this pitch. Leonis 0 for 3 tonight. Backs away from a breaking ball, and it's in for a strike. Logan Morrison has come off the bench to take over at first base, and now playing in center field, Austin Jackson. Moving from center over to left field, Justin Ruggiano. The breaking ball. That is in for a strike. 1-2. There's Martin questioning Alan Porter, the home plate umpire, who kind of shrugged his shoulders and shook his head. Said, no, nothing I can do about it. It's a strike. The 1-2 is on the way. Young's back in, and remember Martin had the go-ahead 11th inning solo home run off of left-hander Alvarez in yesterday's ball game. And a little key shot up the middle. That's in for a base hit. So here's Martin. Left-hander, right-hander, able to get that big base hit. This one to lead off the 8th inning. And Carlos Peguero called back to the Ranger dugout, and he's going to be pinch hit for.
Look where the ball hits, right off the end of the bat. That creates that spin. When that ball hits, it's going to spin the other way. Just out of the reach of Brad Miller.
So Jake Smolinski coming off the Ranger bench to pinch hit now for Carlos Peguero. Peguero finishes tonight 0 for 2. Smolinski a 114 average with a home run and 3 driven in. Bush a long look at first and decides to step off. Smolinski has never faced Charlie Furbush in the regular season. 1 ball, no strikes. Check with Tony Beasley down at third. Leonis stepping off a modest lead at first. And Furbush fires a strike. Smolinski is 2 out of 8 against the Mariners. The only matchups he's had against them have all come this year. His home run up at Safeco in the series up there 2 weekends ago. 2 balls and a strike. And Zanino going to go out and talk to Furbush. Carson Smith, right-hander, up now and loosening. Furbush peering in for the sign, says okay, and sets. Drops in the breaking ball.
Well, the good thing is he's seen the pitches now. He's seen the fastball a couple times. Now he's seen the breaking ball. Got to hang tough on a 2-2 pitch. Love to set the table for the middle of the lineup right here. Fastballs have been in, so is the curveball.
Echo pitch tracker. That last one right on the inside corner. There goes Martin. The pitch is low and inside. Zanino couldn't find it. He would have mounted anyway because Leonis had a great jump. He gets a stolen base. And with the pitch in the dirt, the count is now full to Smolinski. 6th stolen base of the year for Leonis Martin. Leonis in scoring position. Jake Smolinski up there with a 3-2 count. Trying to pick him up. Popped up. Seager in foul territory. That is out number 1. That'll be Prince Fielder to face Furbush. Fielder 1 for 3 tonight. A first inning double. Scored a run after he reached on a fielder's choice in the 4th inning. Fielder over the years 1 for 5 against Furbush. Nothing in 1. With runners in scoring position this year, the 2nd highest average in the American League for Prince Fielder, .563. Like to raise that in this at bat with Leonis Martin at second. Leonis being attacked out there by Bugs. 0-1.
They must be imaginary bugs.
Well, they were getting in his ear. Martin checking around to see where everyone is positioned. Shortstop Miller playing right behind him, kind of dogging him back to second base. 1 ball and 1 strike to Prince Fielder. Now 1-2. Low on Mendez, Sean Tollison. Double-barreled action in that Ranger bullpen. Mendez would be the choice probably if the Rangers do not score. If they score to make it a closer ball game or a tie game, I think Tollison would be brought in. Another fastball, and that one got in on the fist of Prince Fielder. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Series of signs sent out by Mike Zunino. Got him swinging. Pitch down and in. Kind of tied up Prince Fielder, and Furbush gets a huge second out.
Third baseman Adrian Beltre.
Like a breaking ball. You know, I think Prince started his swing thinking it's probably going to break out over the plate. That ball just kind of broke straight down and stayed inside.
And with Beltre at the plate, Lloyd McClendon is headed out to the mound. He doesn't want Furbush to face Beltre, not in a 2-run game, so that's going to do it. He's going to bring the right-hander Carson Smith in. He's going to make his way in from the bullpen, and while he does, we will take another timeout. We're back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. streaming sports service is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit Texas Rangers or visit MLB.tv for details. Or you can visit Texas Rangers too on your MLB.tv. Carson Smith, the 25-year-old right-hander from the Dallas area, on now. And Adrian Beltre looks at a hard fastball inside for ball one.
Carson Smith's off to a nice start this year. Pitched a lot, frequently. Hasn't given up very much.
Yeah, how about nothing?
That's not much at all.
He has set a Mariner record. He has not allowed a run in his major league career, and that spans 18 games and 17 innings. And it's a club record for most consecutive appearances to open up a career without allowing runs. Previous mark was 13 by Mark Lowe. Little tapper off the end of the bat, and Smith has an easy out as he underhands the first. Beltre gone. So are the Rangers. No runs a hit. One left. We're going to the ninth. It's the Mariners 3, the Rangers 1 on Fox Sports Southwest.
Tonight, down 3-1 as we head into the top of the ninth. Dana Larson here to remind you to join us after the game for the post-game show. Rangers Live. Join me, Mac, and Pudge as we break down Game 1 against the Seattle Mariners tonight. Also, we'll hear from Jeff Bannister, the manager, Emily Jones in the clubhouse for player reaction. And, of course, the big news this afternoon, much more on the return of Josh Hamilton to Texas. We will hear from him as well as set up Game 2 and Ross Detweiler's return to the mound as well. That's all coming up right after the game. Now we'll get back over to Buzz and Tom for the finish, guys.
All right, Dana, thank you. It doesn't look like Pudge is doing much up there. Is he? Is he sleeping?
I'll put him to work.
Okay. All right. I'm going to wake him up.
Pudge is figuring out his golf handicap.
Well, Roman Mendez has come out of the Ranger bullpen to take over here as we go to the ninth inning. Nelly Cruz will lead things off against the big right-hander. He drops in, strike one. Roman Mendez appearing in his 10th ball game, so he has been a workhorse. ERA of an even 3. Opposition hitting just .226 against him. 1 ball and 1 strike. Cruz tonight is 1 for 3. An RBI single in the first inning. Mariners 3 runs on 4 hits. Rangers 1 run on 7 hits. Each ball club has committed 1 error, and they both led to unearned runs. Stayed up a bit. And the count moves to 2-1. Cruz 0 for 1. And the only matchup against Mendez. Román back to the plate with the 2-1 pitch. 3-1. Nelly with the average at .311. Off to a great start in the first year of that 4-year free agent contract that Seattle signed him to. And I would think at first blush that they are extremely pleased with the production they've gotten out of Nelly Cruz right in the middle of that order. Center field. Tough night to drive it out there. And Leonis Martin with room for out number 1.
Yeah, the middle of the order for Seattle, Cano, Cruz, and Seager is really good. They're good hitters, got power, drive-in runs. So far in the season, the 3 of them are hitting .294, 12 home runs, and 36 runs driven in. Nelly's got a lot of those, but Seager's got driven in 10 with a couple of home runs. Cano has only driven in 6 runs, but he hasn't really gotten hot yet. He's hitting .288, and you know where he's going to be at the end of the year.
Well, Kyle Seager tonight has grounded out twice, once into a fielder's choice, and he's also fouled out. Mendez nailing down the outside corner. Fernando Rodney, the Mariner closer, sharpening his arrows out there in the bullpen. Make sure his quiver is all loaded up. 0-1 pitch coming to Seager. Just missed the inside corner. Jake Smolinski, remember, pinch hit for Carlos Peguero, and he remained in the ball game. He's now out in left field, patrolling the vast areas in front of the out-of-town scoreboard. 1-1 pitch. Now 2-1. Kyle Seager, a .271 average as he faces Mendez. Looks like that split finger pitch that Mendez throws. And
good changeup action to it, way out in front of it. Mendez obviously has the stuff to be a late inning guy. He's pitching well this year. 9 innings, struck out almost a batter per inning. Good combination of pitches, good arm, good velocity.
Smolinski in a hurry. He's going to have to hold up and play it on a hop. Seager just looping it to left. Not much that anybody could do about it. It was in no man's land, and that was Seager's first hit of the night.
Yeah, Seager really hasn't done much tonight. Hasn't hit the ball hard, and against the Rangers, that's unusual. He's a .350 hitter in this ballpark. But he manages to get a base hit, even though Mendez made a nice pitch. He got it in, jammed him, just blooped it, but there's no way Jake could get it. Can't play him too shallow in left field with all the room out there.
Well, now Austin Jackson will get his first at-bat of the night. Denton Ryan High School graduate. Takes a fastball for strike 1. Austin Jackson coming over from the Detroit Tigers and patrolling center field very effectively for the Seattle Mariners. .257 average. Couple of home runs, 4 driven in. The Mariners hoping that on base percentage sneaks back up there in the mid 300s. Austin Jackson, originally a 8th round draft pick by New York in the 2005 draft.
Nice catch. There's one that was caught without a glove. Passed it off to a little girl sitting in front of him. Made her happy to stay at the game all the way. Very nice. Probably learned that from the net man, the catch and release act.
Jackson waiting. Austin hits out of that slightly open stance. Seager, the runner at first. Fouled back. Still no balls and 2 strikes. Jackson has faced Mendez one other time, and Roman walked him. Rangers and Mariners will play 2 more games in this series. Tomorrow night, Ross Detweiler and Jay Happ in battle of left-handers. Go to first and just back and ahead of the tag by Moreland is Seager. On Wednesday night, Wandy Rodriguez and Felix Hernandez. King Felix, and he's on a pretty good roll. Rangers saw him get started with 7 shutout innings and 12 strikeouts in Seattle. That's out of play to the right. Austin Jackson hanging tough. 1 on, 1 out, top of the 9th inning. Mendez, a belt high set. Misses high. Kyle Seager with a looping 1-out single at first base. Now Mendez ready, the 2-2. Beltre cuts it off to second. A return to first in time. 5-4-3 double play, and that gets the Rangers out of the top of the 9th inning. Fernando Rodney getting ready to come in the bottom of the 9th, the 3-1 Mariner lead. Is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by your Texas Ford dealers. The EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. The bottom of the 9th has arrived, and for the Rangers, in Moreland, Andrus, and Chu to face Fernando Rodney. Ranger faithful who braved the inclement weather earlier in the evening, hoping for a comeback against the Mariner closer.
Rodney's numbers haven't been impressive so far, but he had at least one really bad outing that inflates numbers when you only have 7 innings. He's got the crooked hat and the 95-mile-an-hour fastball and the unhittable changeup at times. So sometimes you don't know what you're going to get with Rodney. It can be wild, but when you catch him when he's at the top of his game, very difficult closer. Saved over 40 games a few times. Been a prominent closer for a long time.
And the first pitch to Mitch Moreland is up and in for ball 1.
Not sure what that pitch was.
Close.
Generally, he doesn't throw a pitch 89 miles an hour.
Yeah. Mitch 1 for 3 tonight. He looks at a strike. That will even things out. Moreland 4 out of 7 lifetime against Fernando Rodney. Rodney, a 38-year-old. Back to the plate. There's the changeup. Let's take a look at the AT U-verse rewind tonight. 4th inning, and Mitch Moreland showing you some Gold Glove caliber work at first base.
That ball was by him when he caught it.
Taking that base hit away from Ricky Weeks. Oh, what a play that was.
And players like, after they make a play like that, you like to look up at the scoreboard and see if you can't catch the replay of it. Makes you feel good. There's that changeup that he floated in at 81 miles an hour. His fastball today that he's thrown 189, 191. Usually it's more like 94, 95. Might not have his best fastball today, but still has that changeup.
Rodney has saved 4 out of 5 opportunities this year. Pulled the Cano. 1 out. Well, Mitch grounds out. Now Elvis Andrus. Elvis singled his last time up. He is 1 for 3 tonight. Also reached on an error in the 4th inning. Elvis has had 10 at-bats against Fernando Rodney. Well, actually 14 when you throw in the 4 walks. He's gone 3 for 10. And he looks at strike 1 here. Rodney with 48 saves that led the league last year with Seattle. And got up there about 95.
There you go.
And up under the chin of Elvis Andrus. Rodney, you go back to the 2 years prior, 2012 and 2013, he had 48 saves and 37 saves for Tampa Bay. So the track record is definitely there. By Cano this time into right field, and Elvis has his 2nd hit of the night. And the Rangers now will have the tying run coming to home plate.
A well-hit ball by Elvis. 2 straight hits. Shin-Soo hit the ball hard his last time to left field. Elvis gets a pitch on the inside part of the plate. Hits it sharply. Cano could only take about 1 step before that ball shot into right field by him.
Well, here's Chu. 0 for 3 tonight. Takes a pitch on the inside corner for strike 1. Chu now 0 for his last 19 times up. He has had a pretty good degree of success against Fernando Rodney. 6 for 16 with a home run. And a home run here would tie the ball game. 0-2. Elvis stepping off a pretty good lead at first. Got him swinging. 3 pitches, and Rodney punches out Shin-Soo Choo. That's out number 2.
Well, that's the combination we're talking about. The mid-90s fastball followed up by an 80-mile-an-hour changeup. It's a very difficult combination for a hitter to cope with. That was probably him at his best. The last, if you want an example of why he's so successful, the last 2 pitches, the fastball with a changeup, that combination has saved a lot of games for him.
Well, the Rangers now down to their last out. Rougned Odor takes a pitch on the inside corner, and that changeup coming back for a strike. Odor singled his last time up. He is 2 for 3 tonight. Andrus at first, not being held on by Logan Morrison. He's going to second, and they'll just let him waltz in there. No defensive indifference for Elvis.
Rodney has 224 career saves. He saved 48 games last year and 48 2 years ago with Tampa Bay. The last 3 years, 48, 37, and led the league with 48 saves last year.
Rodney studying Zunino's signs. 2-1. Lloyd McClendon has watched his team come in here trying to snap a 2-game losing streak. They are leading 3-1 here in the 9th. Changeup misses. 3 balls and a strike. If the Rangers can get Odor on, they will have the tying runs on base, and Robinson Chirinos is going to be the next hitter. Unless they choose to go with Carlos Corporan, left-hander off the bench, or switch hitter. 3-1, Rodney. A check of second. High ball 4, and there are 2 men aboard. Rodney has given up a single and a walk. He has 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning. Robinson Chirinos is 0 for 3 tonight. Against Fernando Rodney, Robinson is 0 for 2. Got Elvis at second, Rougned Odor at first. Check swing, it is a strike. My first pitch changeup.
Robinson knew he checked his swing, and he was surprised to hear that the pitch was called a strike. But it was a pitcher strike, inside corner, definitely high enough. Outfield playing deep. They don't want to double to score the man from first base, which means you have a better chance of dropping one in front of one of the outfielders, which would score a run, maybe put a man on first and third. Tough to hit one over an outfielder's head, though.
That pitch down low, 1 ball and 1 strike. Robinson trying to snap out of an offensive malaise. He has run for his last 17 times up there. To center field, Austin Jackson waiting for it, and that will do it. Well, the Rangers get the tying runs aboard in the 9th inning, a hit and a walk, but strand 2, and the Mariners have won the first game of this 3-game series, the final tonight, 3-1. The Rangers out hit the Mariners 8-5, but came up 2 runs short in the all-important runs column. And Dana and Mac and Pudge will be back to wrap things up for you right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.